So the most obvious disadvantage of working in the call center industry is the stress. Now, when I say stress, I'm not just talking about a stress that is coming from one source. No. If you work in a call center, your stress is going to come from different sources. And I'm going to explain every single one of them. The first one is, of course, the night shift. Now, I don't know if you have experienced night shift, but me personally, I'm not a fan of night shift. In my lifetime, I think I only met one person who prefers to work night shift. The rest of the people I work with, all the call center people I know, they prefer day shift. And for good reason. And that's because we humans, we are not made to be nocturnal animals. We are not bats. So when we do our activities at night and sleep at daytime, it's going to take a toll on our body clock. And our bodies, by the way, depends on our routine. So when that routine is disrupted, then our health or probably our mood and our efficiency is affected. And of course, there are accounts who have day shift, and those accounts usually are Australian. So consider yourself lucky if you're working in one of those accounts. Now, another problem aside from night shift is the shifting schedule. There are accounts where you're going to have to be shifting from day shift to night shift, day shift to night shift. And it's even more confusing for your body because just when you're about to get used to the day shift, you're going to be switching to night shift and vice versa. So it's really confusing for your body. Another disadvantage of working night shift is every time you leave home, it's not going to be that secure for you when traveling than when you are traveling during daytime. Me, personally, I worked in Davao, so it was not really an issue. Thank God. It was not really an issue, fortunately. So my shift when I was working in Davao was from 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. Now, the good thing was you can really walk safely at night and not have to worry about anything. My apartment or my boarding house was also close to my office. So that was a plus. But I know that there are call center agents out there who have to commute a long way. And they even have to travel like 3 hours or 4 hours earlier to the office in order to just feel safe when traveling. So that's already a deduction from the hours that you could be sleeping instead of traveling. So that's also a disadvantage. Although this is something that you can remedy if you rent an apartment that is close to your working place, to your workplace. For me, personally, this was not much of a problem. But there are times that I still prefer to, live normally, to talk to people and just live during daytime, just do my activities at daytime. But fortunately, in my case, I had a roommate, so I was not completely isolated. I can still talk to other people and, I still have social interactions with them. My only problem was when I was in my days off, I instinctively go back to the day and sleep at night. So it's really hard to adjust my body clock to fit my working hours again. So just bear that in mind. It's going to happen to you every single time, at least most of the time. Now, of course, you can probably solve this by having social interactions with the agents who have the same days off as you. But usually this doesn't really happen. This only rarely happens because when we are in our days off, we're usually just really tired and spend the whole day sleeping. Queuing, by the way, is the word we use to describe a state where there's a lot of customers waiting on the line, where right after you finish a call, 1 second later, there's always gonna be another call. So you're not gonna be able to breathe during queuing. If you're working email for an non-voice account, then this is obviously not gonna be a problem because you're only gonna be answering email. But the problem with email is your eyes. Me personally, my eyes are myopic. So every time I stare at the computer for a long period of time, my vision gets blurrier and blurrier. Now, if you're working as a chat support, this could apply a little bit. This could apply actually because I worked as a chat support once for 9 months, and it was stressful still because I had to handle 5 chats at a time. So you have to really multitask. And again, research shows that multitasking is bad for your brain. I'm not going to talk more about this, but there was definitely a research about multitasking and how it negatively affects the brain. So there's also something that you need to bear in mind. Now, this is going to be really worst if you're working for a voice account, and especially if your account is a telco account or a telecommunication account. This is usually the most notorious for having queuing every single shift. Maybe the only time that there's no queuing is during Christmas and New Year. That's just my guess, but I am willing to bet that on a regular basis, it's going to be always queuing. Most jobs, except call center, you usually have a breather between your task. You usually be able to at least relax for a little bit, a minute or two, in order to, pick yourself up, ready for the next task. But in a call center, this is a luxury if you can at least breathe for a minute or two between calls. And even going to the bathroom sometimes is a little bit hard. And there are times when the break times are delayed, where there's really just too much deluge of calls and you have to delay your break time a little bit. But that's not usually an issue for me, but there were definitely times that I had to do it. This is exactly why some people refer to call center as a modern day slavery. And I wish I can say that it's not true 100%, but there is some grain of truth to it. Still, I'm not saying that you should not work in a call center. I have definitely worked in this industry for 4 years, and even if it was the hardest years of my employment, I did not regret the decision at all. No. Bear in mind, though, that there are also accounts that are not that busy, where you have to wait around 5 minutes between calls, so you will be able to still breathe. So it's not like always queuing, but just bear that in mind. Most accounts usually experience this every single shift. But if you really want to avoid this type of account, then you can definitely do that. You can definitely do your research, ask the call center agents who work for that account and ask if it's queuing, how queuing it is, and how hard is the task. Just note, of course, that not all customers are irate. I think the irate customers are like around, 25% at most. Still, it depends on the account, but I worked for an e-commerce store, so maybe that's probably why there was not much irate customers at the time. But I cannot speak for the agents who work for telecommunication accounts, because that's the account that usually has the most irate customers. But the problem with talking to irate customers is they affect you the most, even if they make up only a small percentage of the customers that you're going to be talking to. The experience that you have with them are the most lasting one. You're always going to remember them. They are the interactions that you can't usually get over with, even if you're already at home sleeping. And it's going to leave a bad impression on you. But at some point, you're going to develop this thick skin. Not totally. You'll never going to be impervious to irate customers. But as you go along, as you gain the experience, you're at least going to be able to handle it as well as is possible. Just remember that when you're handling an irate customer, you first need to address the emotion of that customer before they're going to be able to listen to your logic, before they're going to be able to listen to reason. That is the number one technique. I have mock call videos about this where the customer was irate, but I think I am yet to make a video with a super irate customer who is verbally abusive. So I'm going to make that in the future. You're probably going to hear a lot of bleeps, but I think it's really important that I make that kind of video so you know exactly what you're getting into. So stay tuned and subscribe. Now, in a call center, there are several metrics that you have to meet in order to get a performance bonus or in order to at least keep the job. So if you're a sales representative, you have to meet a certain quota. And if you are a customer service representative, you have to meet an average handling time for each call. In my account, I had to talk to customers for 7 minutes maximum. If you exceed 7 minutes, then you have to compensate for that by talking to another customer in less than 7 minutes or at least 5 minutes, so you will be able to keep up with your stats. Now, depending on the difficulty of the account, the difficulty of the issue, this is going to be hard. If your account usually have difficult issues and the customers are irate, then 7 minutes is going to be hard for you. Not impossible to meet, but definitely demanding, very demanding, if you ask me. And that is probably why I never tried to meet the metrics. I was so focused on the quality of each call that I never even tried to at least meet the metrics so I could get my performance bonus. And if you're not this kind of agent, if you really want to strive for the performance bonus, then by all means, try to shorten your call handling time and, find the right balance between the call handling time and the quality of the call. It is entirely possible. You can still assist your customers by having a workable quality and also meeting the AHT or the average handling time. I think for most accounts it's 5 minutes, but I'm not sure. In my account personally, it was not that strict and it was for 7 minutes. It was longer. But still, I was not able to meet that metrics. But I think it is definitely way easier than other bigger telecommunication accounts. Some accounts don't even have ACW or after call work. So that's the time that you don't take calls. You do the after work. For example, you have to send an email or a follow-up in behalf of the customer. So that belongs to the ACW time. And for most accounts, it's usually 2 minutes. Depending on the account, some accounts also do not have ACW. So you really have no breather between call, nothing. So those accounts are usually more exhausting than the others. So bear that in mind. I think the most important thing that you can do, if you really don't want to be surprised, is to research about the account, ask the agents who worked for the account, who are working for the account, and ask how hard it is for a newbie especially. How hard are the metrics? How hard is the quota? Everything that you need to know about the account. Other accounts, you also have to meet a certain customer satisfaction survey. In my experience as a chat support, this was definitely the case. Every interaction that I had with a customer through chat, the customer has a right to rate that interaction from 1 to 5. So my problem was, even if it was not my mistake, even if it was not my incompetence that made the customer experience an inconvenience, the customer still has a right to leave the worst rating, which was 1 from 1 to 5. And I really hated that job, unfortunately, because how could you even feel any purpose towards that kind of job when the customer can just freely rate you, not based on your performance, but because of the company? But there are definitely accounts who could be better than this, who don't have that much bad CSAT scores because the company is great when it comes to satisfying their customers. So I guess the key here is to just look for an account. If you want a day shift account, then look for an Australian account. If you want an account with less workload than usual, then definitely research about them. These accounts exist, but they are so rare that you have to do an extra research just to find out where they are. When you say yes to call center, you're also saying no to the things that you could be doing. Maybe you have a degree and you're really passionate about the degree. If you really want to be a nurse, if you really want to be a doctor, and you really see yourself working in that field, then you're saying no to that career path. And this is not for me to answer. I cannot answer this for you. You have to answer this for yourself. Which one is more important? Because there are degrees where you really have to gain the experience. For example, if you're a nurse, you have to at least have several years of experience in order to be established in your field. Now, you cannot achieve that if you work in a call center. So just know that the more you spend your time in a call center, the less you're going to be able to want to leave and do a restart in your career. That is the tendency of it. Of course, it's not impossible to restart your career and go to another field, but just know that the longer you stay in this industry, the harder it's going to be for you to leave this industry and do a restart in your career. So yeah, by saying yes to call center, you're saying no to other things. So you have to decide which one is more important. For me, I did not have to make that decision because I only finished a 2-year vocational course in TESDA, and it was the moment I graduated from that course, I was already an obsolete because I was not keeping up with the technology. I was a computer programmer, by the way, but the year that we graduated, the computer language that we were studying at the time was already obsolete. It was no longer used in the industry, so it was not a hard decision for me to choose call center over my course. But for you out there who really finished a degree, this is going to be a tough decision to make, and it is your decision to make, not mine. So I'm just letting you know the disadvantages and the benefits for you to be able to make the best decision for your situation. And another scenario that I can think of is if you have finished a degree, but you're not particularly fond of that degree. You're not really sure if you want to pursue that. And you're just not sure about what to do with your future. You're still undecided. If that is the case, then call center might be the best place for you at the moment. I'm not saying that it's going to be the best place for you forever, but while you are still trying to figure out what to do next, then you're earning money, you're learning, and you're gaining the experience. And I kid you not, the experiences that you're going to learn in a call center industry are important and very practical, and you're going to be able to use them wherever you go after you quit. So again, the decision is yours. If you think that the disadvantages are just so great for you to be attracted to the benefits, then say no. It really depends on you. I cannot imagine how Philippines would be without the call center industry. In fact, call center is the highest earning industry in the Philippines. So, I think it's important that we become less judgmental of the people who choose to work in the call center. We don't know their situation. We don't know their needs. So let's just be less judgmental about it. And if you don't want to work in a call center, fine. But it's important that you at least try to be open-minded about things and know that your situation is not the only situation that exists. Just know that people might be motivated differently based on their situations in life. So, just be less judgmental about it. Okay. I think that's all for today. I think I have said everything that I needed to say. And thank you so much for watching, everyone. Bye.